original investigators believe he murdered her. They just can't prove it.
It's my first initial call to the private investigator working on my dad's case.
My wife jumps up from the table and says, "Oh my God, who is this man coming in the backyard?"
I divorced him because I couldn't trust him at all. He lied to me at the very beginning. He was living 2 separate lives.
In the water about 30, 50 yards away, and identified it as it was a person.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol? Are they giving you anything for pain or anything? Do you know?
They give me a shot for nausea.
Okay.
I don't think so.
But you don't feel impaired? Or,
No, sir, I don't.
You're just obviously in shock from what's happened. Okay. With that in mind, again, our deepest condolences. We're sorry. If you could just run me through what happened yesterday.
I filled the boat up, and then around 11:30 or so, we went and I took the boat at the dock by our house, and I drove the boat all the way down to the beach, close to our house, so she could put the dogs on, and we could put the rest of the stuff on. We rode around the bay for a while, and then at one point, her and I both jumped out and had a little swim. And then
Who? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Her and who jumped
Her
out?
and I
Oh, her and you.
jumped out and had a little swim, and we got back in, and we headed over to the point by the Navy base.
Okay.
It's not actually on the Navy base, it's the other side, the opposite side of the point.
Okay.
And we stayed there for a few hours.
Okay.
And we had lunch and watermelons. And I had 3 beers from the time that we first got on the boat.
Okay.
And she was drinking a lemon vodka drink. And I don't recall how much she was drinking, so she wasn't impaired by any way.
Okay.
Okay. And I can't even recall what time I think we were heading back home around 3-ish, maybe. And I know that on my phone I had taken a picture of her right before she jumped in the water.
Okay.
Like she was sitting there and she just looked really pretty with her hat on.
Right.
And I took a picture of her. So it would be directly after that time, the very last photos on that camera. Okay. Of when she jumped in the water. And she jumped in the water and it was kind of weird. And because I didn't put the ladder in yet. And usually I put the ladder down and everything like that. But she jumped in the water. As soon as she hit the water, she was like instantly 10 feet away from the boat. So she just hid in the boat. And it was all windy and it was just pulling the boat along. And I jumped in right in after, not even thinking. And then by the time I got to her, there's no way we could catch up to the boat. At that time, we thought about trying to get to the Pensacola side, because it's really shallow in Pensacola side. It comes out like a mile or so. And so we decided to go that way. And she can't really swim that well. And I had her on her back, and I was side-stroking her, and side-stroking, did it for hours. Then at one point I had to lay over, and I said I have to catch my breath because I couldn't breathe. And I had to catch my breath, and I laid on my back, and I had my arm under her back. And then she started panicking because a wave went over her face, and I lost her. And I couldn't find her. And I looked around, I couldn't find her. And then
Have y'all been in that area before? Is that where you usually go?
Yes, sir. Lots. And then after I kept going towards the Pensacola side.
Yes, sir.
And we had this one house, this weird floor-level house that they just built, and we were kind of using that as a focal point to get to. And that's the one I continue to use a focal point to.
Okay.
And
Is that where you ended up?
No, sir. I ended up way down from there. The current hauled me down.
Do you know about what time you filled the boat up and where was that over? Or y'all are from Alabama, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it was.
I filled it in at the Chevron and Lillian. And there's a neighbor on that back street there, Jim, that lives right there in the corner of Bayview. Right there in the corner of Bayview. There's a Honda in his driveway. It's a new house. I talked to him before I went and dropped the boat off.
Okay. Do you keep the boat in the water, or you trailered it, got gas?
My trailer is by our launch by the end of our neighborhood.
And then your wife met you with the dogs down?
Yeah, well, I pulled the boat on the shore, and then I went to the house and grabbed her.
Okay, and you got an idea what time that was?
It had to be like 11:30, 12.
Okay. And then y'all came on over into Florida, went near the Navy base, a point to 6 off. And I apologize for not being more familiar with the water. I should have brought a map with me, but they'll help me figure out.
There's a point, like if you went to the Lillian or the Perdido Bay Bridge up there in Lillian.
Okay.
And if you're in the water and you look to your east, that's the Navy base, and it kind of curves like this. Then it has a point, and then it goes like this, and it's straight along the coast right there. Okay. We were on this opposite side.
Okay. All right. And then, so you were, actually, let me back up if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right, so they left Lillian, and then we're coming to a point that's not on the Navy base, but near the Navy base. You familiar?
It's Tarquin Park, Crater Beach, Tarquin Park.
So then, when y'all got out and swam together, were you in the same area as where this took place, or were this somewhere? Did you swim in one spot and then come here?
Well, we played in the water and played with the dogs when we were up at the Tarquin Park.
Okay.
But then when we went into the middle, it was just, she jumped in. She was just going to do, like we did earlier today, we were just going to swim around a little bit. But she jumped in first before I had a chance to put the ladder down. And then instantly she was like 10 feet away. Right. And I jumped in after her, not thinking. And then we couldn't get to the boat.
Okay. So, and I apologize if I keep having to read. I'm trying to not have to come back later. I'm trying to get as much as I can. So y'all made it all the way to the park and had your couple hours.
Yes, sir. We had lunch.
You left and we're headed back home.
Yeah.
And so we would be west of the park. Does that sound right?
That would be south of the park.
Southwest.
Yeah, it would have been. So we were
closer down
like where we were. So we were south of the park, and it would have been. That would have been east of our house.
Okay.
And west of the Pensacola side, that 4-story house in Pensacola, the tall one.
Reference point when you leave the track. Okay, so then she wanted to get back in the water, so did she wait for you to stop the boat?
Oh, the boat was stopped.
Okay, so the boat was stopped.
Yeah, it was stopped.
She jumped off. Which part of the boat did she jump off of?
She jumped off the side where I opened the door and put the ladder down there.
It's a pontoon boat.
Yes, sir.
Rail. Okay. And that's where you usually put the ladder and y'all come.
Yes, sir. Okay. I didn't even have a chance. She jumped in the water so quick.
Okay. Did she jump feet first or head first?
She jumped feet first.
Feet first. And I'm, again, not familiar with the waterway. Probably plenty of feet there.
It's 10 feet.
Okay. So she got in and immediately started having a problem, you said?
Well, she said she was treading water and she said, "Come get me," and I jumped in the water after her.
Okay. Okay. And then which way does the current usually?
The boat was going south.
The boat was going south. Okay. So wind was overcoming the current, you think? That's
We had
probably, if that helps you, that's probably what your problem was.
We had our bimini. We had the top up and everything.
You were probably had current one way and wind one way. It makes it even worse. So, all right. So, she jumped in and then asked you, come get her.
Yes, sir.
Did you immediately, was that a panic come get her, or was it like, hey, come on in?
No, she was panicked.
Okay. So
and I jumped right in.
Jump right in because that's what you want to try to help.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you jumped in, did you jump head first?
I dove in.
You dove in, and she was, I think you said, about 10
She was like 10 feet away.
10 feet from the boat?
And then by the time I got to her, then the boat was even further away.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. And then when you got to her, did she say anything to you, or was she just?
Well, we talked for hours as I was pulling her in, and she'd go through stages of panic.
Right.
And she mentioned one thing. She goes, well, maybe the boat will wash up close, and somebody will see the dog, and they'll come look for us. But we were heading towards that Pensacola property.
Okay. Okay. So you were able to get to her and then basically put her in a rescue tow.
Yes, sir. I had her. At one point I had her like this, and at one point I was grabbing her bathing suit top and pulling her by her bathing suit top while she was on her back.
Okay.
And I was telling her to take a deep breath, close your mouth, hold it. Because she kept opening her mouth and kept getting waterlogged, and I kept telling her, close your mouth, take a deep breath, hold it.
Okay. Okay. And was it choppy, or was there
It had become a little choppy.
It started getting, and obviously with the panic, it's going to get even worse, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of rolled to your right, so you were side stroking basically right side, had
Yes,
your left
sir.
arm around her.
I was just,
on her.
well, I was doing both because I was getting exhausted.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Initially, you grabbed her that way.
Originally I was facing her, and then after that I was facing away from her.
Okay.
And then when I had to rest, that time I took a deep breath and I laid on my back and I had my arm underneath her, my right arm underneath her, supporting her.
Okay.
And then a wave came over the top of both of us, and she flipped out. And I tried to grab her, and she started washing away, and I just tried to swim after her, and I couldn't get to her.
Current just had her by the
She was gone. I didn't even see her.
Okay, so if I understand the way that,
Yes,
if
sir.
we take a break.
No, sir.
So she jumped in, said, come get me, because she probably already realized she was having trouble.
Yes, sir.
You jumped in instinctively, got to her, and you started side stroking, and y'all kind of, hey, we're going to that house, and you just kept
Going towards that
was she
house.
helping you?
She was helping me kick.
She was helping.
And then she was keeping she'd tell me if I stopped, if I wasn't going towards that house.
Okay.
She'd tell me if my bearing, because I was just kicking and going.
Right. So she's laid on her back, and you're doing the rescue lifeguard thing, helping her.
Yes, sir.
Y'all are going. She's kicking to help you make a little ground, but the current and the wind were definitely not your favorite.
Yes, sir.
And then obviously you had to switch, and rest as we all would. And at one point you were holding her with the right hand. And then is that when the wave came over?
Yes, sir.
And do you think it was like a boat wave? Do you remember a boat going by?
No, sir. I remember several boats coming by, and we both yelled at them. And then finally a blue and white boat came within about 200 feet of me. And it looked like the guy was wearing like headphones, like red headphones.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't hear it.
Do you know what type of boat that was?
It was like a little bay boat.
Okay, so like a Boston whaler maybe, or
Kind of like that.
flat boat or
Yeah, it wasn't a center console. Well, it had a center console, but it was little.
Okay.
It wasn't like a big fishing boat or anything.
And which direction was he traveling?
He was going towards Lillian.
He was going towards. Okay. All right, so when that wave hits and she brings in the water, it's only natural, massive panic. Is that when you lost a hold of her?
Yes, sir.
She kind of.
And then she kept floating away from me as I was trying to get to her, and I still was out of breath.
Right.
And I just couldn't get to her.
Okay. And was there any? Was she within her panic state? Was she yelling anything, or just she was just?
She said, "Chris, help me." And then I didn't see her anymore.
So, about when you I'm sorry, I know you're anything. I didn't mean to turn away. When I think, I look this way. When you lost sight of her when Chris helped me and was in the panic and you were having trouble getting to her? Had you made any ground on getting towards that forward?
It didn't seem like it.
It seemed like
really
pretty
did.
much stuck out there in the middle still.
Just like we kept just staying in the same spot.
Just felt like you were still in the middle. Okay. And then, so once you couldn't find her, what was your next move?
Well, I looked around for her.
You looked around.
And then I started paddling.
Okay. And then, do you have any idea how long between then and when you were able to finally make it to shore?
Forever. I watched the sun go from pretty high in the sky to really almost at the horizon for a long time. And that's how when I was on my back kicking, that's how I could keep my bearing of which direction I was going, because I was watching the sun go east.
Okay. And you said earlier, and she was helping you keep bearing on where she
Yes, when she was listening, yes, sir.
And you said during y'all's attempt to try to swim back, there was discussions back and forth. You know, a couple times you would break down, she would break down, or
yes, sir, both of us.
Which is normal. At any time, did she say, you know what, I quit,
no,
I give up, or
never.
anything like that? She's
No,
not
sir.
the type to do that. She would fight it. Okay. How long have y'all been together?
19 years.
19 years? Okay. And are y'all, either one of you originally from the area, or
Yes, sir.
where are you originally from?
Well, she's from New Hampshire. I'm from Michigan, but we met in Colorado.
Oh.
We both lived in Colorado.
Okay. And then, how long have you been down in this area?
I think between Dawson Island, Daphne. When was Hurricane Ivan? We moved here 3 months before Hurricane Ivan. Okay, we moved here 3 months before Ivan.
So you've been here, you've been a while. Has there been any problems on either side? Has she been?
Well, it was more marriages, go through stuff like that. Other than that,
nothing out of normal.
no, she had an affair about 7, 8 years ago, but we got past that with therapy.
And I'm just trying to, like I said,
Yeah, we just went through times of fights. I mean, she was in menopause, and then we'd make up, and she would remember what we was fighting about. And
does your son live with you?
no, he was in Pensacola.
Okay. So you were notified by your son, so we know next of kin knows he doesn't have. Is there anybody on your side that we?
He's called everyone, sir.
Even for your side, you want to make sure your family knows where you're at.
I just have my sister.
Okay.
And then all the kids all 4 kids are on the way here.
And if we weren't with the waves and we weren't with the current and we were in a swimming pool, would your wife been a fairly confident swimmer then? Or
She's not confident, but she wouldn't have been splashed on her.
So we're pretty sure it was the panic of the.
Yeah, because when we were in the water earlier, she was fine.
Okay. Do you remember any dolphins, any fish, anything coming around while y'all were swimming?
None. A pelican. I saw a pelican.
Okay, but nothing that came and kind of inhibited y'all?
No, sir.
Tangled in any lines? It
No,
was just
sir.
pretty much the current was
No,
no
sir.
problem? Okay. Was there and the closest boat was that blue and white one, and he couldn't hear you because of the headphones probably. So, and 10 feet of water, she obviously didn't hit anything, or
No,
she
sir.
didn't seem to have any injuries
No,
to her
sir.
that would have made her not be able to.
No, sir.
Okay. So as far as you understand, she was capable of just panicking, and,
Yes, sir.
and you, being the instinctive, loving
Yes,
husband, grabbed her and started helping
Yes,
her
sir.
out. Okay.
Not enough, though.
Well, look, the current being what it is, with the wind being what it is, I understand, but
Sorry.
that's okay. water or anything? All right, good. It's not.
Okay.
When she asked you to help, going back up to when you were on the boat, she asked you to help you. Were you still right there by the little door, or had you already stepped away?
Oh, when she first jumped in,
Yep. When she first jumped in, I said, hey, come get me.
Because she's by the little door, and then she coasted to the front of the boat.
Okay.
And then I just jumped off to the opposite side.
Okay. So the boat's drifting. She jumps off. Did we know it's the gate on the left side?
The gate on the left.
The gate's on the left.
So she jumped off the left, and the boat and the wind doing its thing, and she kind of went around.
Yes, sir.
So then you jumped off the right side.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know, if you turn the boat off.
Yeah, he said, I'm sorry.
I thought I did.
Yeah, he had it.
I was pretty sure I did. I think I did.
He had stopped. Basically, they got there to that park, and they were on the way home, and she wanted to swim again. And he said they just came to dead stop, you know. And
I think the engine might have been on, but it wasn't in gear.
With the wind and current, the building top, he said as soon as he went in, she was about 10 feet away when he jumped in, and when he got to her, there was no getting back to the boat. So shortly after that became realization. Let me know if I get it wrong. But shortly after that, they picked out that building with the four pieces to it, and it started going for it, and just wind and current. Okay, that's pretty much it. Did you give the son the card or anything so they know how to get hold of it?
Yeah, I gave him the card. I told him what I was going to be doing with the boat. What I was going to do with your boat is just take some pictures today. In a boating accident, we have to take pictures of everything.
And don't worry about it. We got everything secured at our office.
Blow it up.
Yeah, it's secured at our office. Since there's no damage and there wasn't any, like a normal boating accident, we have to do damage analysis. This one, we're not going to have to do damage analysis to it. So I'll probably just take pictures and I'll call your son and let him know when it can be picked up. Because I don't see a reason for keeping it in this.
I understand right now you don't even want it back. But
I already talked to your son about that. Also, I talked to him with your cell phones.
Yes, sir.
Okay, your cell phone can help us pinpoint where you were.
Yes, sir.
I left that out too. Well, I hadn't asked him.
I'll give you the code for mine if you want it.
He did say there was he took a picture right before the incident. So
And it will literally say exactly, but it's a C from the bottom, like this on the pattern. It's a C starting from the bottom, and that's it.
Okay.
Just a C.
On her phone, hers is a Apple iPhone.
No, sir, her phone's at home.
Okay. There's two phones on there. Both phones were yours.
Well, then I guess her phone was there.
Okay.
She just uses that for music. That's a it doesn't have any service on it. It's a old broken iPhone.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, she just uses that on her motorcycle and to power that little speaker.
That makes a little bit more sense because I'm like, okay, I got.
Yeah, that has, and the code for that is 0299.
Okay. What would do if you got we got a consent to search form.
Absolutely.
It's just a form letting us know that we can search the phone.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure you're
That
aware
just
with
gave
how
you
Apple's
permission.
all panicked and
Yeah.
all these other companies panicked.
Yeah, the code for the Apple is 0299.
Yes, sir.
And mine is a C starting from the bottom.
Right. And we'll get that as quick. Traditionally, we have to send it to FDLE.
That's fine.
We don't really have a lot of time, but there are some agencies close by. If we
That's
get
fine.
permission to work it through them, we'll
That's
get
fine.
it to you. Everything's
I
safe.
don't even care.
Number one concern is your health, you get better, and us trying to help you better understand.
Where's my wife at?